Alchemy is magical, an ancient branch of natural science practiced in China, the Muslim world, and medieval Europe. Alchemists were fueled by a powerful incentive to transform metal alloys into gold and to find an elixir of immortality. Alchemists sought to see beyond the banality of human life, beyond its short and temporary conditions. But alchemy was more than just a quest for turning lead into gold. It was rooted in a philosophy that saw the natural world as interconnected and constantly in flux. Alchemists believed that everything in the universe was connected, from the smallest elements to the largest galaxies, and that transformation was at the heart of human existence. The pursuit of gold was seen as a symbol of the ultimate transformation, of the attainment of wisdom and human enlightenment. Alchemy is magical because transforming metal alloys into gold breaks all the laws of science in our world today. But that doesn't mean that modernity doesn't have its own unique brand of alchemy: storytelling. In my view, storytellers are the alchemists of our world today. Transforming narratives into wellsprings of knowledge, the stories they tell become immortal, transcending time and space. Think about it. The ability to storytell, to consolidate themes, identify trends, and communicate that to each other has been ingrained in human DNA since the dawn of existence. You may all recognize this set of handprints. This assemblage of hands located in the Cave of Hands in Argentina tells a story of its own, even though it lacks intricacy and uses the most rudimentary of materials. In fact, scholars such as Professor Mary Weisner Hanks at the University of Wisconsin-Milwaukee posits that this painting represents the human desire to be remembered. And we as society have remembered this painting well. We've immortalized it, displaying it in museums and discussing it in classrooms, even centuries after its discovery. We find this piece of art so compelling because of the story it tells, one of human remembrance, legacy, and connection. But of course, storytelling isn't just limited to a single medium. Think back to an engrossing story you've read, one that enraptured you completely, so much so that you've lost track of time and reality. If you were stuck in an MRI machine, your scans would look something like this. In fact, according to neuroscientist Paul Zak, our brains have the unique ability, when enraptured in a story, to view ourselves not as the narrator or as a bystander, but as the protagonist. We start to empathize with the characters in our story, perceiving us to be going through the same motions that they are going through. This is why when they cry, we cry, and when they rejoice, we rejoice. And this is the alchemy, the power, the transformative magic of storytelling. Storytelling and its ability to evoke empathy, bridge cultural divides, and crystallize human truths is exactly why I formed the Global Youth Review in 2020. Fueled with the mission of uplifting and amplifying youth voices, we have spread and reached hundreds of youths across the globe, fueling them with the tools to create art and writing. In creating this platform, I came face to face with the power of storytelling in empowering and uplifting youth. The stories we received speak of liberation, of rediscovering cultural identity, of overcoming adversity and finding resilience. But not only do stories connect, but they also alchemize numbers into powerful narratives. In fact, according to a study conducted by Stanford University, the brain is able to recall stories 22 times better than simple facts. And in a separate study conducted by the London School of Business, the brain was able to retain 65 to 70% of the knowledge presented through a story versus only 5 to 10% of facts conveyed via statistics. The power of storytelling in conveying narrative is astounding, but it is equally dangerous. In modern times, humanity has stuck its hands into the cauldron of information, media, and technology, manipulating, maneuvering, and misrepresenting truth. In other words, the alchemy of storytelling has turned into a tainted, putrid brew. But why is this? According to economist Thomas Friedman, we have recently entered the age of acceleration, in which our scientific and technological advancements have reached breakneck speed, fundamentally altering the ways in which we consume, perceive, and evaluate media. Think about it. We tweet, we like, and we share. And in this process, we have created a hailstorm of fatally altered truths, realities, and facts. We have lost sense of a shared reality and instead replaced it with millions of distorted versions of the truth, losing control of the media that we consume. Put shortly, truth is in peril. So how do we strive for truth and authenticity in such a world? The answer is simple: through storytelling. For centuries, alchemists have been enamored with the idea of transforming metal alloys into gold, but ultimately failed due to the limitations of the human experience. Similarly, the quest for truth in storytelling is a long and never-ending one, as the truth is inherently subjective and constantly evolving. But that shouldn't deter us. Instead, it should encourage us. As storytellers, we have the immense responsibility to capture the essence of truth within our stories. And as a storyteller, I am driven with the hope that our stories connect people and make our communities a better place in a world that is full of base metal, of alienating truths, of millions of distorted versions of the truth. And in this pursuit, we find true meaning and happiness. That is what makes our work so truly profound. And at no time in history has this been more relevant. We've just emerged from a pandemic as well as from an infodemic. A war against Russia, as well as its propaganda machines, is being waged in Ukraine. According to the Doomsday Clock, humanity is merely 90 seconds away from utter devastation due to the proliferation of climate change, nuclear weapons, and misinformation. So how can we strive to create social change through the power of storytelling? I've established 3 key principles to follow, each one inspired by my work at the Global Youth Review, as well as at other activist organizations. First of all, make your stories universal. We require new narratives that speak to people's fundamental desires. The most successful stories speak to people of all levels, regardless of their preconceptions, values, and beliefs. The stories we receive at the Global Youth Review are deeply personal and intimate, but they also speak of something greater than the author themselves, a message that is universal and widespread. Secondly, embrace responsibility. It is our responsibility as storytellers, as well as audiences, to capture the essence of truth in spreading narratives. After all, the true power of storytelling, from its magic to its timelessness, rests not with the author, the artist, or even the person that's telling the story. It rests with us and our ability to discern between right and wrong, between truth and illusion. And finally, ground your stories in values that matter to you. This way, you lay forth a foundation for social change and inspire others to act in accordance with those values. All in all, tell stories that transcend time and space. Use the power of the pen to shape our society in ways beyond imagination. Mobilize people, perspectives, and points of view, and transform them into something golden in a society that is full of base metal. In short, Become the alchemists of our world today. Thank you.